Good afternoon, everybody. We are back on our next roundtable dedicated to the importance of women in law firm. And I would like to introduce you our next speakers: Claudia Gregori, partner; Cecilia Carrara, partner; Cristina Martarana, partner; Gabriela Giatti, counsel; Monica Colombera, senior partner; and Monica Riva, senior counsel. All our legal team represent Legans company. Our main objective today for this roundtable is to profile women in the legal profession, as well as offer insights for women considering a career in this industry. So, Monica, I'm passing you stage. It's your stage to introduce your company and to say a few words about it.
Good morning, good afternoon to everybody. So in this presentation, I will just tell something about our law firm, and then we can move to some more dedicated task. Next slide, please. Okay, words about Legans. We are a so-called independent Italian law firm, meaning that we are not connected to any network, and we have been funded in 2007, so we are almost 13-year-old, even though it has been formed by a number of partners which used to work together, who used to work together for a very long time. We are Italian, but we have a strong international practice, so we work with colleagues and clients all over the world. We can move to the next slide. We are 277 lawyers, and every day the number is moving because we are hiring young lawyers quite frequently. We have offices Milan, Rome, London and New York, while the main offices are in Milan and Rome. And we are 44 partners, 24 practice areas, meaning that we cover the entire business area, and the 17 country partners, meaning the partners who are dedicated to the international relationship with various jurisdictions. Next. Here you can find some key moment for Legans. We have been, I mean, even though we are young, Legans is recognized today as one of the main player in the legal market in Italy and in Europe. We have been recognized with a number of awards, and we have done a number of significant things during these 13 years, so like opening in London and New York, moving in a very new premises in 2018 in Milan. So we are very, very active. Next. We can go to the next. I mean, we are speaking about our approach, which is very dynamic. We try to be very dynamic to understand clients' needs, to understand the business of the clients in order to provide not only a very cold legal advice, but to be partner of our clients. Next, and to do this, we have a number of practice area and department which are aimed to be very specialized, very dedicated to the client's need. For example, I'm the head of the practice which is called Energy Project and Infrastructure, which counts a number of other partners, and we work in a very coordinated team to hopefully provide a satisfactory advice to clients. We can go to the next one. Next. Yeah, here maybe I can spend few words, because in addition of being lawyers who clearly are dedicated to legal services to the client. We all consider very important in the partnership to also try to do something which is more connected to the social need. So we have a CSR committee, of which Cecilia, who is part of this panel, is one of the member, dedicated to pro bono activity and activity who are not remunerated, which are not remunerated for us, but are dedicated to the social to the social purposes. We work for various associations, non-governmental organization, and we also have a fund which is called Ridiamo, which means we try to smile and also pay back something for social purposes, and we are dedicated to making donation for social activity, and this pro bono association is participated by all the partners who provide funding to these initiatives. Next, speaking about how we are distribution in terms of gender, we are, as of today, 99 male and 41 female, and the allocation among the various seniority, you can see that we have 36 partners who are men and 8 women. Senior counsel, which is a position which is substantially equal to partner, just a matter of the kind of remuneration, but they are very senior and very autonomous. We have 13 senior counsel who are male and 5 who are female, while in counsel, which is again a very senior position, we have different situation in which we have 14 male and 18 female, and in an associate category, which includes senior and also junior lawyers, we have 97 male and 82 female, which I can say is just a matter of situation. It may be totally different in few months, because then we will have the possibility to discuss later, but we don't have a policy in which we should hire male or female. We hire on the basic of the capability of the lawyer, while we clearly try to have male and female representatives, because we consider that it is important to have both gender in a very balanced situation. We can go to the next and final slide of my presentation. Here we have some elements which are not connected to the law firm, but there are general information about the legal market, and the source is the Cassa Forense, the Lawyers Association, the Lawyers Bar, which indicate that we have 245,000 lawyers in Italy, so a huge amount of lawyers, and which is and this data is quite significant. And under 35-year-old, we have only 12% of this total amount of 245,000 lawyers are below 35-year-old, which suggests that the younger professional are not so interested in being independent lawyer. And in terms of percentage between women and men, women and men, we can see that there are almost 50%, so there is no big differences, while unfortunately a big difference is in the remuneration, because the average, which is quite low, it's 24,000 euro of income for a female, and 53,000 euro for male, which is quite a difference. It's almost half, and the difference remains also if we consider older professional. So this is an important data to be considered, which is quite surprising for us, because if we consider the situation in Legans, this is not the case. So we don't have any differences in the remuneration. So the difference is only in terms of seniority. And if it is true that we have less women in a position of partnership, in general, we don't have any difference due to gender in the remuneration. So this is basically all for this general presentation, and then we can go through the questions.
Thank you very much, Monica, for presentation. I think it's really important information you share with us, and the importance of women in legal profession. Lady, question to all of you. In your personal experience, what are some of the challenges women in the legal profession face? How have you deal with, overcome such challenges?
I think I will start with the first question you raised, which is, why are women important to the legal profession? In my view, I think that women are important in the legal profession as in any other profession, because really I think that the approach that women may bring and generally brings to issue and work, it's different, maybe different from that of men, which of course does not mean better or worse. It simply means different. And so I think that having a balance between men's approach and women's approach is very important, not only for the legal profession, but generally speaking, for any profession. Indeed, this is particularly true in the legal sector, because as Monica was mentioning before, still a big and women, even bigger than in other sectors, because the legal sector has only in the last, I would say, couple of decades. And in fact, I think that being a lawyer, a female lawyer nowadays, is very much different than being a lawyer 10 or 20 years ago. And not
Claudia, we are missing you. Maybe somebody else would like to continue while we are taking Claudia. Maybe somebody else
would like to continue.
Yeah, thank you.
I can continue. I'm Cristina, one of the partners at Legans, and for sure one of the aspects that we discussed before is that in this quite complicated sector, one additional element of difficulty, of challenge, is having children. Having children adds an extra challenge to an already busy schedule. Indeed, in my experience, when my twins were born, I was already a partner in my former law firm. And although I hadn't changed my dedication or my way of working, the firm managing partner in the previous law firm didn't hesitate to ask me if, having become a mother, I really wanted to continue to be a lawyer in this kind of law firm, or I was looking for another direction of my career, perhaps as an in-house lawyer, because at that time we thought that it was less challenging in order to have a sort of quieter life. Of course, I don't want to repeat what my reply was at this question, but the reaction made me realize that it is commonly perceived that children apparently only change the lives of women, because it is true think that a man who has become father would have never been asked the same question. It so happens that 2 years after this episode, I was offered the opportunity to move to another law firm. I accepted, and not because I was not longer appreciated by my colleague or I was not feeling well, but because for me was another way to show my colleagues, but above all to myself, that being a professional lawyer, having a career, doesn't end just because you become a mother. Of course, you have to make more sacrifice. You have to organize yourself better and have, of course, good and reliable nannies, but it's all. That said, I believe that now, talking about now, the challenges that we women face in the workplace are not too much different from those faced by the men. But as also Monica pointed out at the beginning of the presentation, the men are often better paid for managing those challenges. And luckily it's not the case in legal, but it's a matter of fact. Talking about me, I'm sure that every challenge I have personally faced in my career has changed me and made me more determined and proud about the achievement. And I also think that I learned to differently manage my failures in a more detached way. And I learn to consider them as a part of the growth, because it is true that you fail because you set your sights too high, because success and the career is only for those who take up the challenge and not for those who sit in their comfort zone. This is a matter of fact. I would like to bring my speech to close by sharing with you a little story about my professional life. Until a few years ago, in the past, it was very important for me to receive the consideration and appreciation of other people, especially from colleagues. In the past law firm, there was a partner, a man, who believed that women should not work, but just stay at home and spend potentially the money of the husband. And frankly speaking, he didn't like me. Never missed opportunity to not to value my work, my contribution, and unfortunately, we often had to work together. And I didn't understand why. I was very keen to try to change his mind. Until one day, when the managing partner told me one thing. He said, Cristina, if you had dedicated all the time you have wasted trying to make him change his mind about you, in making for yourself something, in doing business, in marketing, you would have for sure more successful in the profession, or you have been more serene. Don't worry about what he thinks. It is his problem. Look ahead and follow your own path. I think that following this advice, don't take care about what the other think about you if it's something not nice, is one of the best decisions I have ever made, and I'm still benefit from it.
Thank you so much for sharing your fantastic experience. And there, Claudia, you back? Would you like to finish your speech before you've been cut off?
Yes, thank you. What I was saying, and apologies if I went off before, is that I don't know where you lost me, but as I said, I think that contribution of women to the legal profession is also because women in general can bring a different approach with respect to men, not better or worse, simply different. But indeed, in the legal profession, this is particularly true because even now, it's still a male world to a certain extent, as Monica mentioned in her presentation. But indeed, things are changing, and you can also see that in our firm, if you go to the more junior positions, more or less it's equal, male and women. Indeed, the situation was more difficult a few decades ago, when unfortunately myself and Cristina and all the other professionals in this panel started the professions, which means that we are not so young. But indeed, there is a change. We see a change, and our firm is doing, we think, something also to make this change happening.
Grazie. And based on it, I have a question because it's very good link. What is the role of the company, or maybe you have a policies which encouraging gender equality and diversity? And how Legans, maybe you can share some experience, supported women talent in the company?
I think
I'm going to take this one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claudia. And the decision why it is me who is responding is that, as Monica mentioned in the beginning, I am in charge of the corporate social responsibility of the firm. So what we do within the program is like companies do, not just firms providing legal services, but companies, is to try to align to best practices, also pursuant to the principles of the United Nations Global Compact and ESG principles. And one of these principles is to favor gender diversity and empowerment of women. In our specific case, being a firm that offers legal services, this is interpreted in a way that we should take positive action to encourage the presence of women in the legal profession, as well as to devote part of our time in assisting associations and foundations that have as a policy that to pursue the rule of law, in particular in the field of human rights, both related to women and children. Of course, the protection of the rights of minors is very linked to the well-being of women in general. So those are two chapters that are very closely interconnected. Our foundation, Ridiamo, mentioned by Monica, also focuses in particular on projects that are aimed to protect minors in difficulty. So even in that perspective, the well-being of a mother is a secondary aspect, but yet important, of the projects that are supported by Ridiamo. What is it that we do as a firm? Again, as Monica mentioned, we do not have pink quotas or policies with reserved places to women in the profession. So the kind of the encouragement that we can support is to raise gender awareness. We are still in the middle of the way, and the majority of our colleagues are male, and mostly still it is the case that there isn't a clear perception at all of the gender gap and of gender diversity issues. So our aim within the CSSR program is to monitor, for instance, the presence of women in the firm, how it changes at different seniorities, to compare our activities, our policies with those of other firms, Italian and non-Italian, to monitor activities of bar associations, in particular the International Bar Association, when it comes to promoting equal rights of women in the legal profession by contributing to the surveys that they have. For instance, there is a recent survey that the IBA has published and has been campaigning about sex harassment at law firms. So these are the kind of initiatives that we contribute to. And with regard to specific sectors, for instance, arbitration, we have also adhered to initiatives like the pledge to favor the appointment and the selection of women in that specific field of law that is still very much dominated by white male professionals. So the idea is not that of quotas, but of promoting equal opportunities and inviting everybody to consider at least profiles of women together with those of men. And I think that is something that we should always do, and we do as a firm, that when we organize events and we have to select speakers, we are always careful to make sure that there is a balance of genders represented on the panels. That is very important, to have role models and people to follow that bring diverse experiences and that are of diverse genders, as Claudia too was saying. So I think in general, it is also something that we can say that in the years, Monica was mentioning that Legans is a relatively new firm because it was created almost 13 years ago. And I stand to be corrected by Monica or Claudia. When Legans was constituted, Monica and Claudia were the only two female partners. And certainly the balance between female and male colleagues in the firm was very different from what it is today. So I think it's not just a development of society. I think there has been a positive commitment of the firm to make sure that those pink columns on the slides that Monica was showing were rebalanced or balanced in a way that we are now, we do present a fair balance of professionals at different seniorities. And that can be certainly done also with the recruitment, maybe not in the sense that there are reserved quotas, but as I was mentioning with regard to the pledge, to make sure that there is an equal opportunity on the CVs that we consider, and that there is an attention to make sure that a balance and gender diversity is an important goal that we do want to have. That being said, of course, we would always favor only the objective criteria for selection and hiring and recruitment. And I think in a way this can be an element of pride for the women who are at the firm, because there is certainly no easy way in the career due to particular favorable rules for hiring of women. And yet it is absolutely important that there is awareness and that there is a positive attention towards the phenomenon. So I think this in a nutshell, and if there are questions, I'm happy to respond.
As you mentioned, and I think that a lot of girls or a lot of young talents, they would like to be in legal profession. Even my daughter, when we live in Switzerland, she was really, she wanted to work as a lawyer and protect rights. So it was her idea to work in the United Nations, protect people, protect rights. And I think it's very important to mention about leadership skills. So what kind of leadership skills or kind of set of skills are required to be successful in legal profession from your point of view?
Hi, Anna. I would like to start taking this question because I would like to share with all the attendees my personal experience in saying what I consider leadership in my now long career. Since I had a lot, I feel lucky enough to being able to work with many amazing professionals, both men and women. And what I can say is that from my experience, they all have some common traits, some common personality traits, which, from my perspective, are sign of leadership and true leaders. First thing that impressed me a lot is their strong professional skills. To me, a leader, a lawyer who can call himself or herself a leader must be, first of all, very strong in the field of law he or she practices. And that's the essence of being a leader, because you are considered knowledgeable and reputable, both with your colleagues and by your clients or prospective clients. So this is probably, from my perspective, the most impressive and essential trait that a lawyer who aims at being a leading professional should have. So always never neglect your technical skills, even though you're growing on the ladder of your social positioning and or in your career. So knowledge, to my understanding, is a common trait that even the most experienced lawyers never underestimate and neglect. Another thing that, from my experience, is very important, that all those leaders were always in charge of the situation, and that's a sign of confidence which has a positive impact both on clients who feel in very good hands and they know they have a great lawyer, a great leader taking care of their interest and case in case of litigation, but also it's very positive for leading a team. So knowing that your mentor, your leading lawyer, is always very well strong on his feet is something that gives confidence to the whole team. Another characteristic that, from my experience, I always regard it as very powerful is active listening. Leading lawyers I had the pleasure to work with always knew very well their team, and they knew how to get the best out of each of team members. So engaging your associate, engaging your co-workers, being an example, but knowing how everyone can do their best in their tasks it's another significant personality trait that I saw as very common and of course useful in the perspective of being a leader. And maybe can be considered trivial, this last thing I'm going to mention, but I also believe that a true leader can delegate, has the ability to delegate and to avoid micromanagement, which of course is another essential trait of leadership, because we all know how much time is important. We need to delegate. The legal profession is very competitive. It requires not only a strong approach to the technical task, but it requires also a very active presence on other parallel fields, such like maybe getting to know people, participating in events. So time must be managed accurately according to the importance it has. And leaders always had the way to deal with time at their best without wasting it. And of course, I give you these examples from my experience, and this is what I'm trying to learn from those who I had the pleasure to work with. I'm trying to take example from their approach and trying to improve myself as well in my experience. And I think that maybe, of course, this is not comprehensive. It's just a very limited list of qualities. But from my experience, this is what matter in the essence.
Thank you. Someone else would like to share leadership experience?
Yes, another Monica speaking. Some suggestions also from me for all of you guys and for your daughters. In my view, the set of leadership skill in legal industry, but probably in every industry, can be probably summarized in two key points, two sentences. First of all, establishing a relationship of trust with others, where the magic word for me is trust. And then secondly, managing ourselves, managing time, managing people. Relationship of trust with others, where others, in my view, means clients, clearly, but also colleagues, peers, and young people, in my view, are a real milestone of our profession. Trust goes hand in hand with the ability also to influence. And to influence someone, maybe we need, first of all, to be competent and confident, as Gabriella correctly said. But about what? First of all, about who we are and about what we need of the other person. And from these standpoints, I agree with Claudia's opinions. Women may have a specific edge because women may have a natural tendency to creating trust, a natural tendency to taking care of others, to taking care of people. And then we have to manage ourselves first. And in this view, in my view, as Gabriella correctly said, we have to set standards and create a positive presence of ourselves, a presence of respect, a presence of authority. And then we have to try to inspire, develop, and try to contribute to the success of the others. And also to manage time in the legal industry, in my view, is absolutely fundamental to use delegation, to have strong time management skills and strong project management skills. In my view, another key point is not to forget the concept of driving for results, in the sense that, in my view, the whole team must be conscious of the objectives that are being targeted. I mean, all the team must know what we are working for, not only the leader, but the whole team. And then last but not least, we don't forget to encourage always people, making them confident that not mistake, but any unexpected issue will be taken care of by the leader personally, rather than dumped on the rest of the team. And my personal leadership style, in a nutshell, not only as a practitioner, but as a woman, as a man, in my daily life, is always, as Gabriella correctly said, leading by example. I mean, I would like to inspire others to imitate me. So first of all, I have to be confident. I have to be very skilled, also under a technical perspective. So, in a nutshell, leading by example is really the key skill in the legal industry, at least in my view.
Thank you, Monica. And to continue with this, I want to ask another question, and there may be last one because our time is a little bit limited, unfortunately. So what kind of advice you can give to women, or maybe not only women, who is looking to enter the legal profession? Okay.
I didn't click enough, sorry.
Yes.
Yes. I know Monica will have the last golden advice, but speaking for myself, I think the best advice is to do something you are passionate about, but at the same time to do it with the utmost discipline. And that applies to many issues in life. And definitely discipline and determination are two skills that are needed in a profession which faces a lot of competition. So you need to know that you will have to face many challenges, both commercial, because there are very many good lawyers out there, as well as on a personal basis. And we heard from the colleagues what those challenges are. I personally had children pretty young, and that is the one thing I never regret. Of course, this is a very personal choice, and everybody has its own views, and things cannot be always predetermined. But I think in general, I would really give a strong recommendation not to consider that career comes first. What Cristina Martorana said about learning to become less concerned about the others praising us is necessarily something that you learn with experience and with age. I think in particular, women always tend to look for praise, and that can be very dangerous. So I think it's super important that we do things for ourselves first. And this applies also to the personal life. And there are so many things that we learn in the personal life that give us some added value in our profession. I really think this is the case. And probably, had I not had the children when I had them, I would be a completely different person. So, maybe I would have had other things, but I do not regret a single minute of the motherhood part. And again, everybody makes its own choices, but I would really say personal life does not come after the professional life. They have to go hand in hand, and then be what it may. We all have different objectives and different ways of well-being, but there absolutely has to be a balance. So these are my recommendations, and I know Monica has other precious indicators.
No, just a few seconds. I think what Cecilia said is absolutely true. So there is no need to renounce to the personal life because of the ambition to have a satisfactory professional life. I'm an example of being a mother of 3 daughters, and I think in addition to that, speaking only about the professional side and taking into account what Cecilia said, which is absolutely important for the happiness of a person, not only woman, but for everybody. I think that speaking and thinking about women in professional life, and in particular in the legal sector, I believe that we are an example of women with good success and that are satisfied about their professional life. And if I would advise a young woman approaching the legal profession, I would say that there are no limits because you are a woman of what you can achieve. And the only limit is being a good lawyer. No familiar limit, no family, no biological, no cultural limit. So you can achieve what you can do based on your capability. And I think that I'm proud to say that we have an environmental in Legans where this is confirmed. There is no limit because one lawyer is a woman or man. You must be a good lawyer, having all the skills that the colleagues are identified of being a leader in a law firm. And also, I would like to say that Claudia and also Cristina mentioned that now the situation is much better than a few years ago, and I fully agree. Even though I have never felt to be prejudice about the fact that I was a woman. I've been very lucky in having in achieving my goal. But in the past, there was this negative evaluation of what is the female approach, maybe more sensible, more attentive to the social issue more than pure business. I believe that now we can say that female approach is a value, because, for example, I've been in the board of the firm for 6 years, and I was the only woman in a board of 5 members. And during the year, I think my partners understood that having a female angle, a female approach is a value in terms of considering the overall situation. So not be shy in stating the female approach in business.
Thank you very much, Monica. I would like to say, because I see that our time is unfortunately finishing, so it was very quick. Thank you so much to all of you for fantastic contribution to our Generation Female education and share experience. I think that it was very encouraging, not only maybe female, also general people to be in legal profession. At least for me, it was really just amazing to hear you, how you share experience, and who knows, maybe in one day my daughter will get the right education. So thank you very much. Thank you to you, and I'm wishing you very.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Have a nice day.